Hey, it's Dr. Joe with Evan. Welcome to Your Wellness for Life, another episode of Fitness Friday.
There we go.
Fitness Friday. How's your day been so far?
Same old, doing the quote unquote boring work. I do the same thing every day.
Doing the boring work.
Yep. Same thing. Talking to clients, getting new clients, walking my dogs, eating food, exercising.
Sleeping, getting up, having breakfast, having a cup of coffee, working a little bit, have a little lunch, work a little bit, have a little dinner, relax a little bit, and go to sleep. It just sounds like life, huh?
Yeah, I guess that is life.
All right, so Dr. Joe and his son Evan, and we are here with 2YourWellness4Life, where we discuss all 9 components of wellness, which is the state of being. And physical health or good health is actually just one component of that. So wellness is a state of being, and fitness is and health is really just one component. It's the state of body. So today's topic will be kind of cool. We're going to talk about the link between exercise and your immunity.
Yeah, so I texted you a couple of days ago that we should talk about it because, not a lot of people are talking about it. Obviously, it's a tough situation topic, but it's an important topic to have that, we're on lockdown and, a lot of our mental and physical health is not up to par, but we can still do things to focus on our immune system and our health and not take a step back. We can still take a step forward and be smart about what's going on. Obviously everything that we've been told to do these days is super important, but every time I walk out of the gym, that liquor store next door is super crowded, so maybe we should change that to more fruits and vegetables and maybe go for a walk as well. And maybe have a little bit of that alcohol in moderation.
Yeah.
So
you have any friends out in California or clients or associates, of how they're weathering the storm in sunny California?
Man, I would not like to be in California right now. I have a gym friends in California, Performance 360, and I've gone out to them and seen them a couple of years ago, and they have to basically do their training sessions outside in their parking lot or in the gym. It's maxed out and they have to have groups and stuff like that, but a lot of their training is outside, and they've had things vandalized, they've had things stolen. They had to shut down one of their locations, stuff like that. But I mean, they're still doing well because they're really good at what they do, and they're evolving into being online and stuff like that. But California is it's a little different breed than what's going on over here in Georgia.
So it's a good thing we're in Georgia. So a couple of things. People ask me advice on the vaccine, and I've been telling them to go to YouTube and put in Paul Offit, OFFIT, MD. He's a pediatrician who's spent his life in vaccines, and he is interviewed. In fact, I just listened to an update on Facebook where Z-Dog interviews him. He does that periodically, and I think they give you a pretty honest assessment of the vaccine. They were kind of skeptical of how quickly it was going to be turned out back when there was word back in February that we're going to have a vaccine brought out in warp speed, and now they've kind of changed their mind, and it's new technology. I got my first shot 2 weeks ago. I got the Pfizer version, so next Friday on the 21st, I'm scheduled to get my second shot. And other than just my deltoid being a little sore to touch, it really wasn't sore. My arm wasn't sore. I didn't have any low-grade temperature. I weathered my first shot pretty well.
You haven't grown any limbs yet? Yeah, you haven't grown a tail?
No extra limbs and no tails, at least not that I'm going to admit to.
Yeah, I got you. Another good podcast I listened to, the Joe Rogan podcast, Nicholas Christakis. He wrote a book, and he's a doctor. He is a professor at Yale, and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was a good conversation.
Okay. So the other reason So again, Paul Offit, Paul Offit, Offit, MD. Just put that on YouTube and watch several of the interviews of him, and he'll set you straight about the vaccine. We need about 75% of our community with herd immunity, or what's called community immunity, where we have enough people that where the virus can't jump to. And the quicker we get to that, in an article in the paper today, it mentioned that COVID-19, once we are successful in doing that, will be just a seasonal cold. How about that? So, despite some of the kind of positive things about the vaccine, there's still about 35% of people, including nurses and including physicians, that are reluctant to get the vaccine. In general, about half of the country is against vaccines, so it's about a 50-50 split. The fact that it's 35% sounds like more people are warming up to the idea of getting the vaccine, probably because it's in your face. You know, it's always on the front page, and it's on your LinkedIn feed, and you know, you're getting barraged by COVID-19, and the incidence is going up. We got a second wave, third wave, and we got the flu, although the flu is not even in the news because it's kind of in the backdrop. And the death rate, you know, going up. And one thing that people aren't talking about is the vasculitis that this thing causes, an inflammation in your blood vessels. And that's why we're seeing some younger people having strokes and heart attacks and cardiomyopathy from it. So it's not just about death.
Yeah, Nicholas, the guy that Joe Rogan interviewed, he said that if you get it, I mean, you could potentially get some health issues that aren't going to leave you, some medical stuff, some disabilities that you're going to have for the rest of your life, which I didn't know, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, back when I was in medical school back in the 80s, when we covered vasculitis, I hated that section. It was in my infection and immunology course in the second year of medical school. It was just very confusing. We didn't know a lot, and I'm not sure we know a lot more now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess some of those people taking the vaccine yet are just kind of more conservative and just kind of seeing what happens and waiting it out.
So today's topic is relevant for everybody, but especially that 1 out of 3 that are going to be reluctant to get the vaccine. You better pay attention. And I'd like to reference this article that was published back in 2019, so before the pandemic. So this isn't something that just got cranked out. We got a pandemic, so now let's make a case for exercise and nutrition and your weight and see how that impacts your immune system. No. This was done back in 2019, and it's just when the pandemic broke out, I started looking for more information on this, and I ran across this, and this was published in the Journal of Sport and Health Science. And the title is The Compelling Link Between Physical Activity and the Body's Defense System, published by Neiman and Wentz. And they could have made the title The Compelling Link Between Physical Activity, Nutrition, and your body's weight and your body's defense system. But I guess because they cover it all, they reviewed 179 papers. That's pretty extensive. I was very impressed. It's a 16-page report. There it is. You know, I've read it several times.
Yeah, people usually say fitness and health, and they kind of bypass nutrition. But nutrition is, you know, like we've said plenty of times, you can't just work out and, you know, that's going to be. I mean, you'll lose weight, but you'll stall at some point. You might not lose any weight if you don't change your nutritional habits. Doesn't mean you have to overhaul them, but you got to make some adjustments to see that you are moving in the right direction. And then, you know, the exercise has the benefits, but being in a healthy weight range is even more beneficial.
So at the end of the paper, there were several conclusions, and we don't have time to go through all of them, but I'd like to go through a couple of them. And it refers to exercise primarily and the benefits of moderate exercise and some of the the negative effects of really an intensive race, like a marathon race or something like that. And just to kind of get people up to speed, there are two lines of defense when it comes to your immune system. There's the first line of defense and the second line of defense. The title of this paper says the body's defense system. There's the first line of defense and second line of defense. Your first line of defense, also called the innate immune system, the one that you're born with, mainly has some very important cells that are called phagocytes and natural killer T cells that are like the game Pac-Man. If you whack a Pac-Man, it just kind of eats the virus and removes it. That's the first line of defense. That's the only video.
I never played video games growing up, but I know what Pac-Man is, obviously. Is that the voice that he makes?
Wacka, 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 wacka. I can hear the thing in the background. Wacka, wacka, wacka. It's got a really cute noise. It's the only video game I can play without getting nauseated and throwing up.
I hear you.
There's too much motion, like Mario and Drive the Cars. It's just too dizzying. And so your second line of defense is mostly antibodies. So whether you get COVID or you get some other virus and you make antibodies, or someone vaccinates you and you make antibodies, that's your second line of defense. Which do you think pivots better?
I don't know.
Well, if this virus mutates, there's already evidence that there's some mutation. Apparently, it's more infectious than the first one, but not more deadly. But, we're playing with fire here. We're playing with matches. And who knows if the next mutation isn't going to be more deadly. Maybe less infectious, but more deadly. I mean, there's all sorts of funny combinations that we can come up with. But I would think that the one that pivots better is the first line of defense. If you are normal weight and you're nutritionally intact and you eat a lot of polyphenols, which is what they mentioned in this paper, specifically polyphenols, and you have moderate regular exercise, the three-legged stool to getting your immune system to work well, then you're going to be able to pivot no matter what gets thrown at you. Now, there's no guarantee that you're not going to get it, but, life and medicine is based on probability and statistics. Nobody's going to guarantee you anything. Never say never, never say always. Right.
Makes sense.
Okay. So let me read the first conclusion here. And it basically says acute exercise, moderate to vigorous intensity, less than 60 minutes, is now viewed as an important immune system adjuvant to stimulate the ongoing exchange of distinct and highly active immune cell subtypes between the circulation and tissues. In particular, each exercise bout improves the anti-pathogen activity of tissue macrophages in parallel with an enhanced recirculation of immunoglobulins, anti-inflammatory cytokines, neutrophils, NK cells, cytotoxic T cells, and immature B cells. With nearly daily exercise, these acute changes operate through a summation effect to enhance immune defense activity and metabolic health. That's
so every time you go through a training session, you recover, you get better, your body adapts, becomes stronger, and obviously being more consistent, you just improve. Makes sense.
And in the exercise science kind of physiology world, there's something called the J curve. And basically, you want to be at the bottom of that J curve. You don't want to be sedentary, and you don't really have to be running a marathon race every other day or every weekend. And most marathoners and CrossFitters and people like that, they know that they are more vulnerable to getting something right after a race. It makes sense. You're running a 3-hour marathon, or you're doing a CrossFit Games kind of event, or leading up to the games. It's you're going to really wear your body down.
Yeah, they're at their peak of training, and recovery and stuff like that, ramping up to this hard bout of a marathon or working out, and then they need to recover after. So it's not always intense. There's always different aspects of their training, recovery, maintenance, going 100% into building into something. And when you put your body at that that state of exercise, I mean, things are going to happen. It's just like a bodybuilder, their hormones and all that stuff is a little out of whack when they get really, really lean, because your body's not supposed to be that lean, but they're not that lean year round. So there's phases of training, and that's where kind of people, they're on one end of the spectrum where they just sit on their butt, or they just go too hard because that's just what they think that they need to do to get to where they want to be. And then that's what got them to where they want to be. And then they don't know how to kind of pump the brakes and be able to maintain that and not have to go 100% all the time. And that's where you get hurt, you get injured, your immune system probably gets out of whack, you yo-yo, stuff like that. So
what do you like to do for kind of nutritional recovery if you've had an extra kind of heavy duty workout?
Like after a training session?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so your body, is breaking down muscle, so you're trying to build it back up, protein synthesis, you're trying to kind of balance out that synthesis and the breakdown, that way it's evened out. So I always have some kind of protein after, whether it's a protein shake or meat or something like that. And then your body does need carbohydrates, so I do give it some carbohydrates. I don't keep the fats as much around my training session. I do it like a little bit before I work out because I always get very hungry during my training sessions. But proteins, carbs, depends on where I'm at, but maybe some vegetables, stuff like that. And then I just keep eating throughout the rest of the day to keep that recovery, and I get some good sleep. And I rarely get sore because my recovery and my nutrition and my training, is spot on.
So for those of you who are just kind of joining us or watching the replay, I'm Dr. Joe, and this trainer, nutritionist, lifestyle coach, Evan Pohl. We're discussing the link between exercise and immunity. We're actually referencing a review article that was published in the Journal of Sports and Health Sciences back in 2019, linking physical activity in the body's defense system. And so let me go over another conclusion that this paper had. So we're talking about how moderate exercise, regular exercise, supports your immune system. They say, in contrast, high exercise training workloads, competition events, like a marathon, and the associated physiological, metabolic, and physiologic stress are linked with transient immune perturbations, inflammation, oxidative stress, muscle damage, and increased illness risk. Metabolomics, proteomics, and lipidomics have revealed that metabolism and immunity are inextricably interwoven, providing new insights on how intense and prolonged exercise can cause transient immune dysfunction by decreased immune cell metabolic capacity.
Yeah, so kind of what I was saying is, that could be overtraining or overreaching. You overreach to get to a certain extent, or a certain place. You're peaking to lift a certain weight, look a certain way, some kind of competition. But then after that, there's a recovery phase, and then there's maybe a break or a deload, and then there's kind of like a maintenance phase, and then it just depends on what your goals are and where you're at. But yeah, I mean, if you push your body through that, things are going to happen. And, obviously you can get sick, whatever it might be. I've had plenty of stories of athletes that have competed and then they got sick after something like that, and they just have to take that break, but that they just put their body through so much to get ready for whatever they need to get ready for. And it just makes sense. Yeah. But as long as they're smart about it, and it's very acute, a short window within the year time frame, and they're not like that year round, then they should be fine.
So expanding on that, they say illness risk may be increased when an athlete competes, goes through repeated cycles of unusually heavy exertion, and experiences other stressors to the immune system. The wealth of acute illness epidemiological data collected during international competition events has revealed that up to 18% of elite athletes experience illness episodes, with higher proportions for females than those engaging in endurance events.
Yeah, I mean, just because you got abs or you're an athlete doesn't mean you're always, fit or healthy. There could be something going on. There could be to look a certain way. You have to deprive yourselves of nutrients to get to a certain level of not nutrients, but like, for example, like a body fat or whatever. You're having to restrict calories to look a certain way. You're having to, again, overtrain to compete for something that's competitive. These Olympians and stuff like that, they're putting their body through everything you could possibly think of, multiple training sessions in a day, the recovery sessions, massage therapy, the food that they put in their body, all that stuff, the stress on their body, the stress on their mental state, it definitely puts them through a lot. But it's not year round. Right after that, they probably take a break for 6 weeks where they don't even go into the gym. They just go outside and stuff like that. So, for the most people, we're talking about everyday people who need to be in a healthy weight range, their BMI, their visceral fat at a certain level, lean body mass ratios, all that stuff, where they need to be eating better, getting active, more sun, reducing stress, getting more sleep, stuff like that. Is the most important thing. Like I saw a post today on Instagram, and guys said simple prescription for health. So minimally processed foods, lunch, dinner with friends. So like interacting with people, which is tough right now. That's why people are having so many issues. Daily sun exposure. So 30 to 60 minutes every day, going outside. Like I always make it a point to walk my dogs and get some sun. Sense of purpose. So have like a meaning of why. Regular exercise. So depending on what your goals are, what do you like to do? Personal training, classes, at home, your own thing at the gym, quality sleep. Like our coaches at ForgeRx had a video today on products it takes, supplements, getting good sleep, some kind of sleep product to make sure you're recovering. That way you're not tired when you wake up in the morning. That way you're not more apt to eat crappy food, not exercise, stuff like that. And then limit your exposure of toxic people, ideas, and industrial chemicals.
Yeah.
And that's the prescription for health.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And if people can follow that right now, they're going to be pretty set when it comes to just being stronger mentally and physically, and, keeping their health in check for what's going on right now, because it's pretty important.
Yeah. And on top of all that, and although this is kind of an aside from today's topic, I've done a couple of Facebook Lives talking about seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. The number one month of the year that has the most depressive people is January. And SAD seems to strike people primarily between the ages of 18 and 31. And the peak age is 24. It's correlated with the length of the night and the shortness of the day. The longest night is December 22nd. Declining serotonin levels, which is a neurotransmitter, declining or lower melatonin levels, which is kind of the mood and sleep hormone, and lower vitamin D levels have been correlated with SAD. And it's 4 times more prevalent in women than in men. So that's just kind of a few sound bites on SAD. But if you, it's, and one therapy for that would be, light therapy, get outside. And if you have some kind of a regular exercise program, especially if you are susceptible to getting seasonal affective disorder, would be a good treatment for that. So we're halfway through January, and then we're going to be February, and hopefully those people that are affected by that will come out of it. But how can people reach you if they've made a New Year's resolution? It's January. The top 3 or 4 resolutions is to exercise more, lose some weight, eat better, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just to make sure that it's your last New Year's resolution when it comes to your health, unless you just have, performance-based or new goals next year instead of just always every year being at weight loss. But you can just find me on Facebook or wherever you're watching this, Facebook, Instagram, Evan Pohl, or there you go, shoot me an email. Pretty simple. Just put a headline of, fitness or something like that, so I know you're reaching out, and, we can set up a call and chat with you about whether you want to work out at your house, a gym near you, or our gyms, and we can definitely help you out and get you moving in the right direction.
Yeah. So New Year's resolutions, we're about 2 weeks into it, and probably about half of the people that have made New Year's resolutions have already forgotten about it. And by the middle of February, something like 90+% have already ditched their New Year's resolutions. And the number one reason is really they have no accountability. They've got no coach. They got nobody tracking them. They've got nobody motivating them. And, that's the value of having a buddy or a coach or, somebody that kind of, you do this thing together. It's always better to do it in tandem than by yourself.
Yeah, you got to invest in your health, and you got to like what you decided to do for exercise, and then you need to have somebody that holds you accountable, because it's the only way that you're going to move in the right direction.
All righty. All right,
Cool.
so I think that kind of wraps things up, the link between exercise and your immunity. And I hope whoever's watched this or watches on a replay got some benefit out of it. Again, the 3 most important components to energizing and supporting your first line of defense is to flood your body with plant matter, especially polyphenols. To not be obese, you want your body mass index below 30, and you want to have some kind of a regular exercise program. You do that, and you'll be ready to pivot for whatever immunological insult is being thrown at you.
You got it.
Okay. All right. So we'll end this, and I'll see my fans tomorrow. Dr. Joe, 2YourWellness4Life. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.